Greater Sandton and beyond. Get ready for the Sandton Times Hour
with your host,
Alexander.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond. Welcome to the Sandton Times Hour. It's edition 209. It's week 34 of 2025. I'm Alexander Leibnan. It's a very special welcome to you. If you're listening for the very first time, good to have you with us. And if you're a regular listener in Johannesburg, Pretoria, across South Africa and Nigeria, mind you, anywhere and everywhere else in the world, online or on air, I'm happy to report that all is well in Sandton land, and a very special welcome back to Vincenzo in the hot seat for the next hour, steering this show from a technical perspective. Vincenzo, technical. And we're going to be sailing through what will be a very sun and sea sand kind of edition this week, as I finally unpack all there is to share about my recent visit to the Seychelles, and specifically spending a week racing a catamaran around the various islands as part of the inaugural Seychelles Challenge. But it's also a great opportunity to take a look at the destination, a popular one for sun seekers and those who enjoy palm trees, beaches, water sports, marine life, and island life. So if that's not something that appeals to you, pina coladas, margaritas, seafood, that's not your thing, this might not be your hour. You might want to go listen to something else. But if that does appeal to you, if you've been thinking about it, please take a seat. Wherever you find yourself right now, slide on some slip-slops maybe, get yourself a drink and kick back for some armchair, bathtub or road trip traveling. And we're going to be setting a course for the Seychelles over the next hour. So what are we going to be uncovering, you might ask? Well, in a bit, I'll be chatting to the race organizers of the Seychelles Challenge, a new event looking to bring adventure to the island nations. Take a listen for that. Then I'll bring you an interview with a woman who is leading the tourism drive in the Seychelles. So stick around for that. As always, I then catch up with our regular entertainment commentator to chat all things entertainment as we take a little bit of a break from our island chatter, and finally some of the highlights, attractions and resorts you might want to consider when you visit the Seychelles. I'll be bringing you all the details. This and more coming up in the next hour, and I'd also like to hear from you, so please feel free to get in touch on the various platforms with your questions, comments, and feedback. You can email editor@sandtontimes.co.za, connect on social media @Sandton Times. Some very nice videos up there as well. Website, www.sandtontimes.co.za. And if you're not part of the podcast community yet, be sure to subscribe to the Sandton Times Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, AfriPods, Podcast Party, and so many more. And be sure to like and share.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
All right, let's get the show started. Let's get into the mood with a bit of music. And to get us into that ocean, seaside, sailing, breeze kind of feel, it's Levi featuring Victor Perry and Sail, right here on the Sandton Times Hour on 919.
Show some love.
subscribe, share,
Leave a review and rating for the Sandton Times Hour
on your favorite podcast app now.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
2025 Seychelles Challenge delivered a sailing adventure like no other, combining world-class racing with the raw beauty of the Indian Ocean. Over 6 days, a flotilla of competitive sailors faced everything from sunshine and still waters to challenging races and gorgeous beaches. From tactical racing and spontaneous course changes to roaring swells. Oh, let me tell you about those swells. My goodness. And record-breaking wins. The 2025 Seychelles Challenge was certainly everything you could ask for in a fun sailing event. And it should be exhilarating, it should be beautiful, and it should be unforgettable, and that it was. The brainchild of South African co-founders Bruce Parker-Forsyth and Hilton Hale, this event looked to bring people to the archipelago for a holiday and a thrill of a different kind. I had a chance to connect with Bruce during the event in the Seychelles and asked him, how did he come up with this idea?
I live in Newlands, Cape Town. We were there in 1 July, and my wife says, I can't spend another July in Newlands, it's too cold. So I said to her, I'll organize an event somewhere special in the world in the summer where we can actually be away from the rain. I phoned up Hilton, who I knew as a sailor, and I said, Hilton, let's go and start a sailing race somewhere in the summer. And that's how it initially came about. He said to me, funny you should tell me that, my wife, who runs a sailing magazine called Sail and Leisure, is very friendly with the people that work for Tourism Seychelles, and they're looking to promote sailing in the Seychelles. And I said, okay, that's it, because my background, I specialize in doing major events. I look at marketing destinations through sporting events. So I knew exactly how to speak to the tourism authorities because I knew exactly what they were looking for. So in essence, they were saying, everyone loves the Seychelles and they know about the beaches and the hotels. What they don't know about is the sea is amazing and the ocean life is incredible. So we said, fine, we'll create an event that will market Seychelles globally and show the world what a beautiful places is to sail, but also what incredible marine life that they have. And so we basically created a destination marketing event called the Seychelles Challenge.
How long has it taken you to pull this all together? Because you look at it from the outside and you think, wow, like a competition, there seems like a lot of moving parts. You've got different teams, you've got the weather element, you've got other things that you can't predict. What has it taken to get to this point?
Yeah. So we initially came out here pre-COVID. We partnered with the Seychelles, they brought us out here. We went around to all the different islands and we had the event pretty much done, and then COVID came along. Then business life took over and I went to go visit Hilton who lives in Mauritius. We actually went out for lunch, and by the end of lunch we said, come, let's do this again. And then we got hold of the Tourism Authority, and from then to now, basically it took us about 11 months. About 2 weeks ago, when the event was about to happen, I was thinking, my goodness, I wish I had 5 more months to organize it. So it basically takes about 18 months to organize an event like this. We did it in about 9 and we managed to get it together. But the reason why we got it together is that the local people here, the Krill Travel Services, the Coast Guard, are just so active and so involved that we formed a team very quickly. So what normally should take about 14, 15 months took us 9 months.
The competition has been dominated by South African teams. How big is sailing in South Africa, and how are you looking to grow this competition with more teams?
We realized that given that short timeline I just mentioned, we would need to concentrate on our personal network. So I've got a personal network in sailing because I've organized the Volvo Ocean Race here and in Abu Dhabi. I've organized the Cape to Rio. I've organized the TP52 in Cape Town. And Hilton is a professional sailor, although he's a full-time businessman, he's a professional sailor as well. And so we pulled our network together to get this year done. But the idea is to get people from around the world, spread the word. So next year we could probably look at about 20 entries. We had 7 this time around, plus 6 local entries. We want 20 international entries going forward, using the footage we have now to convince people. So we basically used our own private network, and that's why we're sending South Africans here.
Now looking back, you've wrapped up this week. I mean, it's come and gone. We started this off and we thought, my goodness, this is going to be a long week, and suddenly here we are, it's the end of the week. Yeah. Looking back on the competition, what have been some of the learnings, some of the highlights, some of your personal favorites?
Yeah. What I didn't realize is that some of the weather here that we went through was probably a lot tougher than I think some people thought. And what I realized was, like, my wife came with me. My wife doesn't sail. She was comfortable enough to do those crossings where by the end of it she was enjoying it. So I think this concept of about showing people that you can sail on a catamaran in these waters in winter, but at the same time it's warm, that anyone can do it. So although we're sitting here with a couple of professional sailing teams, there are 2 or 3 sailing teams who've never done this before. So I think the future is we're going to have a combination between people who know how to sail and people that actually just want a bit of an adventure with your kids or with your wife or with your friends. 4 or 5 guys get together and say, let's take a week off. We're pretty confident it's going to grow. I think the people that sailed this time around, there was enough of a difference of types of people that sail that we can segment and target market accordingly.
I think maybe just to recap that, give us a sense of how the entry worked, because like you said, there were people who entered who knew how to run a ship, sail it, do all the necessary. but there were also people who literally came on and hired all the people that did all of that for us. So if you could just sort of take us through that.
If you want to, you can actually enter this race with your own yacht completely. You could actually put a yacht on a ship and bring it all the way here and then sail it with a professional crew. On the flip side, as you say, we had a Scottish family who were absolutely delightful, relatively in the, let's call it the older age group, and they actually arrived with their grandchildren. They wanted to do something special with their grandchildren. So they hired a professional skipper and they hired a professional chef, and they were racing, but they were just holding ropes. But their experience what it was like to race. And if you speak to them now, the bond that they ended up having between their grandchildren and themselves was very different than the beginning of last week. They've all grown with an experience. They've created something unique in their family, which they then can talk about. They asked us, for instance, their one grandson is 16 years old, get into a bit of a strapping young lad. He had never met a world champion before on any sport. So I said to him, come, sit down with Hilton Hale, my partner who is a professional yachtsman, who actually sails in maxi yachts, in 80-foot yacht with 17 crew. And we went and sat down with this youngster and opened his eyes to the whole thing. So he can go back to school, and when someone says to him, what do you do this holiday? He says, I was in a regatta and I met a world champion. And he's now a convert. This youngster will tell everyone about it. So yeah, we're learning and we're learning where the market is, and we're feeling our way. But the feedback we're getting is that almost everyone that's here said they're going to come back next year.
That was Seychelles Challenge co-founder Bruce Parker-Forsyth. After the break, I found out a bit more about the Seychelles and why this paradise remains a popular tropical escape.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
So the Seychelles, officially the Republic of the Seychelles, is a tropical island nation made up of 155 islands scattered across the Indian Ocean. Its capital is Victoria. It may be small, but it anchors the smallest and least populated sovereign country in Africa with just over 100,000 residents. You heard that right, 100,000 residents make up the Seychelles, but 300,000 visitors visit the Seychelles, 3 times the population. So for South Africans, paradise is just about 4.5 hours of flight away. If you take the direct flight on Air Seychelles from Johannesburg, they fly 3 times a week. And it's a bit like hopping over to Zanzibar and Mauritius, very much the same time to get there. At the heart of the archipelago are 3 main islands. There's Baie, the largest and the busiest, and also where Victoria, the capital, is. There's Praline, with its famed beaches and incredible nature. And then La Digue, a much slower-paced haven, easily reached by helicopter, plane, or ferry, each of those islands. But La Digue is also quite cute because everyone there rides on bicycles. So it's like stepping back into a different time, a different place, and you can navigate the island with bicycles, which is really charming. Beyond its postcard perfect beaches, well, the Seychelles is rich with nature, unique wildlife, fascinating history, and even tales of hidden pirate treasure. Most famously that of French buccaneer Olivier Levasseur, rumored to be worth hundreds of millions. Hundreds, and people have been looking for this for years. But for those who'd rather leave the treasure maps at home, I spoke with Bernadette Willemin, Director General for Destination Marketing at Tourism Seychelles, to get a closer look at why this island paradise continues to be such a favorite for South Africans and how they're doing.
As far as tourism is concerned, especially tourism arrival, we cannot complain. We're doing fairly well this year. We're actually registering a 10% increase compared to last year. Of course, the lion's share comes from Europe, but we're seeing also increase from other continents, Africa, Asia, and also America, especially North America. But for us, as part of our strategy, Europe has always been our main source market. In terms of mitigating our risk, our strategy is, of course, to increase market share from the other part of the world. And Africa, for that matters, plays a very important role, I would say, especially the southern part of Africa. As it stands today, South Africa brings us the lion's share, but we want to take market share, for example, from the east, especially from countries whereby we have direct non-stop flights, because we know that transportation is key. And it is very important to have the right transport and the right connectivity as well to be able to grow the business.
What has been your most important or most valuable attraction point when it comes to the Seychelles? What brings people here?
I think what sets us apart to start with is the natural beauty. In fact, the wealth of our country is our green. It's what Mother Nature has generously given to us. And the wealth, it's in the interior of the island for sure. And Seychelles is known for its flora, its fauna, lots of endemic species. And of course, the fact that Seychelles is a very safe country, very clean country, which are some of the unique selling points, I would say. But what sets us apart from the others in the Indian Ocean, it's also the fact that in Seychelles you can enjoy island hopping experiences. As you know, we have 115 islands. They are all different. Of course, not all of them are developed, but you have a significant amount of islands to visit during your stay. And of course, we were talking before about the wealth in the interior, but it's also out there at sea, because the exclusive economic zone of Seychelles, in fact, our ocean is even bigger than our landmass, practically 3,000 times. So this is also one of the assets of the country. It's our oceans, and during your vacations you'll have this opportunity to be able to go from island to island. One of the best mode, of course, it's by the sea, because this allows you to be able to discover, remote coast places which will not be able to access by other means. But Seychelles is first and foremost its people. It's the authenticity. It's the mingling, it's the interaction with the people, with the Seychellois people. This is also what I would say enhance one's holiday in the Seychelles. And talking about the people, the culture, the gastronomy, at the end of the day, it's a whole package. And what's interesting about the Seychelles is it is a destination which can cater for different segments. Seychelles is not just a honeymoon destination. But believe me, the honeymooners, they will find their paradise in the Seychelles. But just like the family, they will also, because there are things to do and to see for the smaller ones, for the younger ones, for example. For those who's looking for a little bit more of an adventure, Seychelles is also a place for them. It's true, when we talk Seychelles, everybody say, wow. In Seychelles, they have 5-star properties, they have those palaces, they have those remote islands for the modern Robinson Crusoe. Yes, we have all of these. But remember, in Seychelles, we also have Seychelles homegrown hotels, what we call the smaller properties. If you are looking for authenticity, if you want to meet people like myself, you want to interact, you want to live the real Creole style way, so you have a choice. The boutique hotels, the guest houses, the holiday apartments, all tastes, all budgets, and every single visitors can find their Seychelles. You just need to ask for it, and this is where our professionals in the industry will be able to assist you, because Seychelles is very much a tailor-made vacation.
The voice of Bernadette Willemin, Director General for Destination Marketing at Tourism Seychelles, providing some further details on what makes the Seychelles a hot travel favorite.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
And as we head into the second half of the Sandton Times Hour, my name is Alexander Leipner, and if there's anything that sounded good during the show, you didn't get the details, didn't manage to jot it down, well, don't forget, you can get all the details on the show notes on www.sandtontimes.co.za, and we've put up a whole bunch of articles, links, and additional reading for you to follow up on this week's conversation, and also be sure to check out the social media accounts for some videos and images at Sandton Times on whatever your preferred social media platform is. And of course, the WhatsApp line 084 Sandton. That's 084 726 3866. And feel free to share that, save it, and you can use that for your voice notes, text messages, and so much more exclusive to the Sandton Times. It's time to connect with Tat Wolfen again, our regular entertainment commentator. And Tat, I believe you've got something that is thematically or in theme with our conversation around sailing the oceans, being on islands. Do tell.
Yes, I guess it is somewhat oceanic, and well done for the nice segue. What has happened now in the States is that Universal Studios was very excited about the fact that Jaws is celebrating its 50th anniversary.
Yes.
So in honor of that, they have reworked the original Spielberg Jaws movie into 3D. And my contacts in the States tell me that it's a very effective 3D version of the original movie. That's the good news internationally speaking.
Okay.
The the bad news is that apparently the local distributor, which is United International Pictures South Africa, believes that South Africa doesn't deserve nice things. So they are not releasing it. They're not releasing Jaws, the 3D version, in South Africa, which I am really not happy about. It would have been such a nice way to celebrate this iconic Spielberg movie.
Yeah, and I mean the original franchise or the original movie, I think back in 1975, adjusted for inflation, according to Forbes. I'm just bringing it up here on our Sandton Times global headquarters screens here, would have been about $1.5 billion in adjusted terms, what they would have brought in on that movie, which is incredible. $1.5 billion for a movie.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It revolutionized cinema in that it created the summer blockbuster,
Oh, wow.
that kind of genre. Yeah. So it really deserves all this celebration. And I was so excited that we were going to see this new 3D working of the movie to celebrate its 50th anniversary. But no, South Africa, you can't have it.
Is there
So there you
any
go.
screening of the movie at all? I mean, in just normal D, whatever that is, 2D or...
I understand that United International Pictures has even withdrawn that. Because, I have to sort of keep my ear close to the ground, and I'm lucky to obviously have all these contacts within the
Yes.
cinema and movie world. But from what I'm understanding now is they're not going to release it at all. At all.
Does Jaws have a cult following a bit like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or Beetlejuice or any of these other sort of
Oh,
well-known...
yes.
Is there sort of
Oh,
a...
yes.
Are there... What do you call them? Jawsites, or I don't know. What would the name be for people who follow Jaws?
I'm not sure what the word for it is. And there actually even is, there's an annual shark convention in the States, which involves all things sharks, but they also very much include the movie Jaws, and I think we even spoke about it in a recent show. They were going to have Richard Dreyfuss as a guest for
Yes.
this year's one,
Yeah.
but poor Mr. Dreyfuss was not feeling very well, so he had to decline. In the same way as there's Bill and Tedites, of which I'm definitely one. There
Excellent.
are Sound of Musicites. There are all sorts of, there are cults around all these Harold and Maudites, of which I'm also one.
Okay.
There's lots of cults out there. Yeah.
Well, listen, would have been nice to coincide it with Comic-Con, but it is what it is. No 3D Jaws for us here in South Africa. All right, Tat.
Yeah,
Well,
would it be?
now for something completely different. I think we sort of hinted at this. We wanted to have a chat about theatre on the square and Daphne Kuhn, who's doing an incredible job keeping theatre alive in the heart of Sandton.
I am so in awe of what she's done over the years. She's an independent producer and theatre owner and has been since 1994 when she first opened a theatre in Rosebank. And it was called Theatre on the Square because it was on the Rosebank Square. And then 3 years later, in 97, she moved that to Sandton. And because it's at the Mandela Square, she could then continue to call it Theatre on the Square.
Yeah.
So now, for over 30 years, she's been a producer and theatre owner. And she had decided to move it to Sandton because she felt that Sandton needed a cultural heart, and she was quite right. And I think she is still the beating cultural heart of Sandton. I think that she's had something like over 4,000 different productions in that theatre. So apart from the plays that they do, which run at night, you want to talk about a variety. She does everything from stand-up comedy to children's theatre to lots of support of local plays, music, and from stand-up comedy to dark comedy, which we'll get onto just now. It's just been amazing how busy she's kept that theatre, and how the theatre has even managed to survive through the lockdowns, which I thought would close down local theatre altogether, finished and klar, and she managed to keep it alive. And you have to also remember, she has given so many opportunities to so many creatives from all walks of life in South Africa, whether it's playwrights, performers, actors, actresses. So it's really been also a bosom of support and opportunity for the acting community. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a lot of work from one human being, and it shows. It really shows. I've got to just tell you what I like about that theatre. For starters, for me, it's the vibe. It has a feeling of those Parisian entertainment places, where you walk down the stairs.
Yes.
Okay? So, the stairs in Daphne's case, the stairs are wider. Okay, but generally in Paris, if you go to this entertainment place, because space is at a premium in Paris, you normally go down these little windy stairs into this underground place. But the fact that the theatre is underground already, for me, gives you that kind of vibe, that Parisian vibe, and even that predominantly red decor that they have downstairs, for me, continues that very Parisian feel. And I think another very special element of that theatre is that it has a very intimate feel. It actually feels like a tiny theatre, but it's not tiny. It's about 170, 180 or so seats, which is an appreciable amount of seats. But yet there's that close feeling that wherever you sit in that theatre, you're almost on the stage with the actors.
Yeah.
She's just hit all those notes.
I agree with you, Tat. And I think if there's anyone who deserves a standing ovation, I think it is Daphne. Just such a mensch, and also just incredible in the fact that every time I see her, she is upbeat, she's positive, even during COVID, even during the really darkest of times for theatre and live performance. She's always managed to keep going, to keep that spirit and that energy going. And really, I think it's just such a great part of the fiber that makes up Sandton. You go for a dinner after or before the show, you go grab a drink afterwards. I mean, it's such a key part of entertainment. And I think, if we didn't have that theatre on the square, what else would you be really doing at night? I mean, you'd be going to the movies maybe, but there's not really much else in terms of entertainment like that in Sandton.
Live entertainment particularly,
Yeah.
right? I want to just make a little personal appeal to anyone out there who's in the corporate world who considers themselves or their company aligned to cultural pursuits. Please give the theatre on the square any kind of support you can. You'll find Sandton Theatre on the square online. And if you can offer Daphne any kind of support, because remember that she's also supporting the arts, and she's supporting artists, young and old, as I said, from all walks of life in South Africa. So if you really want to contribute to South Africa's cultural scene, give her a shout, and she'll be able to tell you, how you can contribute.
Certainly. And Tat, this is coming from our own accord. She hasn't asked us to do this or anything. We spoke about this at length, and we said, you know what? It's one of those institutions that we have to highlight, that we have to speak about, because we also get such joy out of it. And I think it adds so much value to the community. And I think you're absolutely right. And if there is a corporate that ends up stepping up and coming to the party, I'm sure we'll definitely be the first ones to be interviewing them and talking to them about it. So I think it's a well highlighted part of Sandton that needs to have a spotlight shone on it, much like the spotlight is shone on the artists on stage.
And I have to also just tell you that if our loyal listeners go to sandtontimes.co.za, they will be able to see my review of Dumb Waiter, the Harold Pinter play, which is currently on at Theatre on the Square. And this is riveting theatre. Oh my word. You have no idea. But then Harold Pinter, say no more.
Fantastic. Well, Tat, it's been good to have you on again. We're going to do this all again next week. And thanks for those two contributions.
And I look forward to meeting up with your tanned personage again next week.
topical news,
My fellow South Africans.
Big names.
I love that.
the hottest entertainment,
I'll be back soon. Yeah, I'll call you myself.
And everything in between.
What an honor. I was born in Sandton, grew up in Sandton, so here I am.
this is the Sandton Times Hour.
This is the Sandton Times Hour. Or was it the Seychelles Times? I'm not quite sure. Is it the Seychelles Hour? I'm not quite sure, but you make up your mind. I know that there's one question that remains, and that's, is a holiday, be it a sailing one or otherwise, in the Seychelles worth a visit to the island for you? Well, for South Africans looking for a unique and refreshing travel adventure, I think island hopping in a charter catamaran could be the ultimate escape. Think powdery white sand beaches, coral reefs, granite boulders, some rare animals. We saw a whale shark pass our catamaran the one day. And then, of course, the giant Aldabra tortoises, which get up to 200 years old. Incredible. They offer a tropical backdrop that will wow even the most seasoned globetrotters of you. Even better, South Africans don't require a visa to visit the Seychelles, which is really great. And if seeing the Seychelles seaside isn't for everyone, and I've popped up an article on the website that'll give you all you need to know about hitting the waves on a catamaran. And let's just put it this way: if you suffer from motion sickness, be prepared, sailor. That's all I can say. There's gorgeous moments, but then there can also be some pretty intense moments when you hit those bigger waves and things get a little bit rough. Having said that, if the seafaring life isn't for you, there are numerous resorts and hotels on the island, from a competitively priced offering to a more premium offering, and that'll keep your feet on terra firma. And I checked in at two popular resorts to check out what they had to offer. And the first one was the Savoy Seychelles Resort and Spa on Mahé's iconic Bonvillain Beach, which is just 25 minutes from the airport. And Bonvillain Beach is one of those beaches you just have to visit if you're going to the Seychelles. The resort, which is right on its doorstep, it blends barefoot luxury with five-star convenience. It's ideal for honeymooners. It's ideal for families. If you're traveling on your own, it's got a little bit of everything for everyone. They've got some very spacious rooms, I have to say, with a private terrace, and there's some great amenities, fully equipped, and it delivers on comfort with that island flair. You can enjoy 3 dining venues at the resort, something that's more of a buffet restaurant, something that's more of a seafood restaurant right by the pool. Supposedly they have the biggest pool in the Seychelles. I didn't measure it, but it looked pretty impressive and it was pretty big. And then there's also a bar called the Gecko Bar right on the beach, which offers cocktails and live music and is great if you want to catch the sunset. The resort also has a spa that you can enjoy and a gym for those who like to stay in shape whilst they're traveling. And Bonvillain itself, as I mentioned, the beach is a star attraction here. It's got incredible white sands, beautiful calm waters, very lively markets and stalls, and there's also a lot of restaurants there. So you can actually leave the resort and take a walk up and down the beach and also just get to experience a bit of Seychelles everyday life and get to taste different cuisine. And I must say, one of the highlights was that we got a chance to enjoy a beachfront breakfast. So the hotel actually sets up like a table on the beach, and you can have breakfast there if you want, or you can have sunset drinks if you want, which is kind of nice. And it gives you that wish you were here moment that really does define the Seychelles, and it was truly charming. The Savoy Seychelles Resort and Spa, it's a great blend of tropical relaxation, but also all the modern conveniences you want, including air conditioning. And it really does make it one of the more popular places to go to in the Seychelles. And we put up some more details and photos up on the website if you want to do some more reading on that. Then the second spot I had a chance to squeeze into a packed, busy schedule was the Kempinski Seychelles Resort on Mahé as well, on the main island, in the secluded Baie Lazare. It's got that barefoot island elegance, but also that unique European luxury feel of the Kempinski. It's surrounded by jungle and a coconut plantation, turquoise waters, and it really is very serene, very secluded, and it still keeps you connected to all the island adventures you could ask for. And they've just had a 2-year renovation, so the resort is looking very fresh, beautiful rooms. They've got a spa as well. Very family friendly. They're busy upgrading some of those facilities as well. They're building this incredible jungle gym for kids, and there's a whole bunch of other sort of entertainment elements there as well. And they've got some award-winning dining, which is always good if you're into a bit of food. And the rooms, I mean, if there's anything to say about the room, the one thing that's incredible is this ginormous shower that they have in the bathroom. It's honestly, you could have your own cocktail party just in the bathroom. But they've also got something quite interesting that they've just launched, which is a rosé to honor a very personal service. It's called Lady and Gent in Red. For those people who visit the Kempinski regularly, they will know that they've got a concierge service, and they've now brought out a rosé with Bottega, which honors this particular service. And I think the Seychelles Resort was one of the first ones to actually offer this bottle to visitors. There's some great dining options. There's some great places to have cocktails. The Winsong Beach restaurant won Seychelles' best hotel restaurant, so that's something worth checking out. And it's great. You can sort of sit half on the beach, half off the beach, enjoy some fantastic food, and really relax and switch off. One thing that I really enjoyed in terms of activities was a coconut show that they put on, where they give you some real insight into the amazing things you can do with coconuts, and how coconuts were such an incredible resource in the Seychelles in bygone eras, from polishing wood to using the actual coconut tree wood to build houses. It was used for clothing, it was used for handbags, it was used for nutrition, it was used for all kinds of things. You know, we obviously know coconut milk, coconut butter. I mean, you name it. Coconut is still used in so many things, and it's incredible how this particular plant is so diverse. Enough said, the Kempinski Seychelles Resort is a really great retreat if you're a couple, families, and of course somebody you're looking for a bit of adventure. It's worth having a look at once again, and more details are up on the website. And that wraps up another Sandton Times Hour for another week. Something a little bit different, a little bit of a special edition this week. But feel free to send through your questions and comments on email, editor@sandtontimes.co.za. You can connect on social media @Sandton Times and hop onto the website www.sandtontimes.co.za. You can also WhatsApp 084 Sandton, that's 084 726 3866. with your voice notes and text messages, and that's the exclusive Sandton Times WhatsApp line. And as always, make sure to subscribe on one of the preferred podcast platforms, whichever one you like, and be part of the digital community as well. Thank you to all the guests who made time to be on the show this week, as well as the team behind the scenes pulling it all together. A very special thank you to you for listening, and God willing, we'll do it all again next week.
That's it for this week. Thanks for listening to the Sandton Times Hour. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to share it.